Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of Floxus, and here we are with the 13th part of Python bootcamp course. And today in our session we are going to see about PyTest. So basically we are going to start with what is basically a framework and what is an API, and then we are going to see about this PyTest framework and we are going to code it. We are going to see how we can actually use this to test all the test cases and where we can actually use this framework. Okay, so basically PyTest is a testing framework. So as by the name only you can understand that Py means Python. Okay, Py stands for Python, and test here simply means that we are going to work with all the test cases. Okay, all the possible test cases like before this what we used to do, like when we code something or when we code our program, what we do, like first we check that whether that code works for some specific test cases, so that we can actually see that yes it is working or not, or our code is correct or not, because sometimes it's possible that it is working for x equal to 5 and suppose it is not working for x equal to 0. So in that case, that's the importance that we need to check for all the possible test cases. Okay, and that's why we need this PyTest to actually do our testing, or we can say to check on all the test cases that we have, and we can, by the help of this PyTest, we can do it. Okay, so like it is basically a testing framework. Okay, and like if you don't know what is a framework, don't worry, I'm going to explain that. So yeah, so it is basically a testing framework that allows user to write test codes, okay, using Python programming language. Okay, so that means we can actually use our code and we can check, or we can we can check with all the test cases. Okay, so it actually helps to not simply what we do, we manually input, or we manually give some input and then check whether that code is working for that input or not. Yes, we do that, but by the help of this PyTest we can code it directly in our programming, or we can say where we are writing the code, we can write this test codes also, or we can directly write our test cases on which we want to check that our code is working or not. Okay, like suppose if you are working on code chef, okay, for example, okay, you are using that, and there you must be seeing that there is, like, whenever you submit your code, like according to you, you are writing correct code, but sometimes what happen, you will see that after submission you will see test case 1, like test 1 is successful, it is correct, but test case 2 is not working. What does that mean? So it means that for some test cases your code is working, but for some test cases it is not, it is not working. It can be like for time limit exceeded or wrong answer. Okay, so there comes the role of this test case, and by the help of this PyTest framework, we can actually write the test codes using Python programming. Okay, now it helps you to write simple and scalable test cases for databases, API, and or UI. Okay, so Python. Okay, if you are not understanding what is an API or what is UI, don't worry, I'm going to explain that. Okay, so PyTest is mainly used for writing tests for API. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what is an API. It helps to write tests for simple unit tests to complex functional tests. Okay, so I guess now you're having the rough idea of what is a PyTest, why we actually use it, and how it can actually help us. Okay, so there are few terms that, like, I guess if you are beginner, then you must not be knowing about it. So I won't be explaining much in detail because I want you to explore that. I will give you a basic idea about those topics. So the first topic is framework. What is a framework? Okay, so by the name only, what we actually mean by this framework. Okay, so by name we can understand that something that is giving us a supporting structure, you can say, or you can say like a foundation that is being provided. Okay, so it's the same thing, it is similar, like you can understand, as the name suggests, a framework serves as a foundation for programming. So basically, what are the things that a framework provides us? Okay, so basically, like it provides a foundation on which software developers can build programs for a specific platform. Okay, for example, framework may include predefined classes. Okay, there can be predefined classes that we can use, then functions. Okay, so basically what this framework is giving, it is giving you a basic structure, you can say. Okay, like suppose this, it actually makes our work easier. Okay, what it actually do, it gives you a basic foundation to develop something. Okay, to develop a software application or any project. Okay, so by the use of this framework, you can access some classes that are already there inside that framework. There are so many frameworks. I'm going to tell you some of the frameworks that are actually helpful for website designing. So that we will cover in our next class, most probably. So till now, just understand that it gives you a basic foundation, okay, to develop any project, okay, or any application. Okay, and what we can do, we can access the classes that are there inside that framework, then functions that can be used to process input, or you can say manage hardware device and interact with the system software. Okay, so I guess now you are having the rough idea like what is a framework. So yeah, now coming to API. Okay, now API, before going to API, I will give you one example. Okay, let me just yeah, so let me tell you what is an API. Okay, so API, before moving to that, we'll give you one example. Okay, now here in this image you can see what is happening. Like suppose what we do when we go to any restaurant, we go and we order our food. Okay, whatever we like to have, we just tell it to the waiter. Okay, and then that waiter goes inside this the kitchen, and then he asks for the he asks the cook to cook whatever you wanted. Okay, like basically what happens, you are not going inside the kitchen and you are not telling directly to the cook that yes, I want this, and I don't like I want this, it should be like it should be spicy, or it should be something like that. You don't tell it directly to the cook. Okay, what happens, you ask the waiter that yeah, I want to have this and it should be spicy or something like that. Okay, so what happens, this like this waiter works like an API. Okay, like giving the like giving you one basic example, you can understand like that, that this API actually, like this waiter will work like an API, which will allow you to actually have, or you can say which will allow you to access or to have the food. Okay, made by the cook. Okay, so it actually helps, works like a mediator. Okay, so that's the work of an API. So what happens in case of an API, let me tell you. Yeah, so API is a software interface. So it is an interface that allows two applications to interact with each other. Okay, now like giving you one technical example, what happens, like suppose what happens, you are like you are, suppose Ola wants to access some data. Okay, some data of another application. Okay, so what it does, okay, how do they actually interact? Okay, so at that time there is one API. Okay, there is one API which actually works in between these two applications. Like you must have seen two or more, like you must have seen that how two or more application actually use each other, or you can say each other's data, by the help of how do they do that? Okay, how actually they communicate with each other. So it is done actually by the help of this API. Okay, what happens, this you can say this Ola app, what happens, this will have one API, and if it want to access another application, okay, if it want to access the location application, suppose, so at that time what happens, there will be one API which will work like a mediator, or you can say which will allow this Ola to access the data that is inside this, or you can say that is inside this application. It can be any application, okay. So that's how these applications work, okay. They interact with each other without any user intervention, okay. So API is a collection of software functions and procedures. In simple terms, API means a software code. It is like a code, okay. It is just actually a code which that can be accessed or executed, okay. So API is defined as a code that helps two different softwares to communicate and exchange data with each other. Like, you must have seen sometimes what happens when you log into any application. It asks you to log in with Gmail or with Facebook, or you can say with GitHub profile. So how do they do that, okay. Like, whenever you click on that, like sign up with Gmail, so you will be like your Gmail account, or you can say there will be a login page that will appear in front of you. So what is happening, like you were earlier you were using some another application, but now you are going to log in to your Gmail account. So what is happening, actually there is a role of this API which is actually like you can say which is making these two applications to interact with each other, okay. So yeah, it offers products or services to communicate with other products and services without having to know how they are implemented, okay. So now I guess I have given like many examples by which you can understand that how this API, where you can see this API and how they are used. So coming back to our main topic, that was PyTest. So I was explaining that PyTest is actually a framework which is used to, like, why we are using this PyTest. So it is used to write the test codes, okay, or you can say it is test cases for database or API or UI, okay. So yeah, so this is how it is working. Like, yeah, there is one more example of API. For example, you go to movie site, any movie site, okay. You enter your movie name and credit card information, okay, and behold, you print out the tickets, okay. Now what is happening in the background, how it is actually, like, how by just providing these information that you're getting the tickets, okay. So in the back end, there are so many things that are happening, and by the help of this API, these two application or more than two application are actually interacting with each other. They are collaborating with other applications. Yes, this integration is called seamless, as you never have a clue when a software role is passed from one application to another, okay. Like, the same way here you can see, as soon as you will provide the credit card information, it will go to your, like, how the bank, yeah, your bank account will be accessed, and the payment will be, like, it will be taken from your bank account, okay. So that's how this API is actually taking, or that's the role of this API, to actually connect two or more applications to make them interact with each other. They can access some data, whatever they want, okay. So yeah, now why would we need an API, why we are actually using this, okay. So yeah, API means application programming interface, okay. Helps two different softwares to communicate, exchange data with each other. We know that it helps you to embed content from any site or application more efficiently, okay. You can actually access the contents, okay. API can access app components, okay. The delivery of services and information is more flexible, okay, as we know that. Then content generated can be published automatically. It all allows the user or company to customize the content and services which they use the most. Then software needs to change over time, and API helps to anticipate the changes, okay. So I guess these are the basic one that we have already discussed. Like, by the help of this API, we can actually anticipate the changes done. Okay, then I guess that is clear. Now, this is the point that you can refer by yourself to know more about what is an API. I have tried to explain this. Some popular API testing tools are Postman, then Ping API, then VREST. Okay, you can check it out so that you can understand more about it. Now, coming back to PyTest, okay, we know that why we are using this PyTest to actually check the test cases, or you can check whether your API is working or not by adding the test cases to the you can say to your code. Okay, so advantage of PyTest can run multiple tests in parallel. Okay, we know that what we are doing, we are actually checking our code on the test cases. Okay, but by the help of this PyTest, what we can do, we can check it parallel. Okay, there is this parallel, in parallelly we can check multiple tests. Okay, which reduces the execution time. Okay, so PyTest has its own way to detect the test file and test functions. Now, there is one thing I would like to tell that uh, in but if we use these frameworks, okay, for testing it, so we need to actually specify that whether we want to use that code, or you can say, like, suppose what is the difference between normal code or whatever the normal Python file we were using, and what is the difference between the test code. Okay, there should be some difference. Okay, there should be like, you can say, suppose I'm writing one Python program. Okay, I'm inside this Python file. Now I want to add the test code, or you can say a test function, to which I want to check it like a test case. So for that, there should be some difference, or you can say there should be something by which the interpreter will understand that yes, that is actually used for like a test case. Okay, so here you can say the main advantage of PyTest is also this, that it can like, it has its own way to detect the test file and test functions automatically. So I'm going to tell you how we can actually write a code for a test function or test file, how we can tell the interpreter that yes, this code or this specific part will work like a test case. Okay, if not mentioned explicitly. Okay, so if we don't like, if we don't mention it explicitly that yes, this function is a test code, or you can say a test case, then this PyTest has its own way to detect. I will show you that too, don't worry about it. Now, PyTest allows us to skip a subset of the test during execution. It also allows us that. Okay, that means here it actually means that suppose if I'm having some problem in test case 1, suppose, okay, there is one test case 1 and there is some error there. Okay, suppose there is runtime error or time limit exceeded error. So it is not like that after this there will be no execution of another code, or there will be no execution of another test cases. Okay, it will work, it will work the same way. Okay, PyTest allows us to run a subset of the entire test suite. Also, we can choose our specific code, you can say a specific part, to work like a test case, or we can work with it. Okay, so PyTest is free and open source. Okay, so we can it is actually open source. Because of its simple syntax, PyTest is very easy to start with. Okay, so what is happening, it is very easy. I will tell you or I will tell you how we are going to use with this or work with this like framework. At that time you will see how simple it is, how simply you can understand that yes, by just seeing the specific code you can understand that yes, it is a test code. Okay, or it is a test file. Okay, so, yeah, I guess now you must be understanding that why we need to study this specific topic, that is this framework, because it is going to help us a lot. Okay, so yeah, let's proceed. So this is how you can install this framework, that is PyTest. You can write it in the terminal like pip install PyTest, and then this is the version that we have specified. Okay, but also there is one more way how you can import this framework and use it. I will show you that. You can manually install that. So I will show you that in PyCharm. Okay. So let me just show you how, like, what is the basic syntax to work with this PyTest framework. Okay. Now, for importing anything, we know that to import this framework, we need to write import PyTest. But before that, we need to make sure that it is installed in our file. Okay, in our Python file. So for that, I will show you how we can do it. Okay. Then we are defining one function. Now, how we will know that it is a test case function, or I guess like it is a test method. Okay. There is a difference, normal method and test method. Like what we do with the test method, we actually checks, or that's actually the test cases. Okay. It simply tells you that whether whatever your code is working in that specific value or not. Okay, like suppose I want to check for x is equal to 6, then it will come under one test case. Then I want to go for another test case, that is suppose test case 2, and I want to check for x is equal to minus 6, suppose. So this is what it is, like it is how the test case look like. So what we will do, we will create a function, or you can say a test method. So how we, or the interpreter will understand that that's a test method. So whenever your name of the function, okay, it starts with test, okay, and then after that whatever you write it, okay, you can add something or you can write anything. But if it starts from test, okay, by this word, then that means that it is a test method. Okay, then x is equal to 5 and y equal to 6. Simple. What we are doing, we are writing our code. Okay, for which value, or for which value we need to check, or what will be our main thing that we need to check in this test method. So it is like it is written by assert keyword. I guess this keyword is clear to you all. It is actually used to raise, if there is any problem, then you can raise the error. Okay, or you can say you can write this line if there is any problem then. Okay, so what we are checking, we are checking if x plus 1 equal to y. Okay, and like if it is not, then it will write, or if it fails, then it will write test failed. Okay, then assert, and then x is equal to y, then test failed. Okay, so what is happening here, this is our test method. My main motive of explaining this part is that how you will actually write a test case. Okay, like I suppose I want to check for this value, then what I will do, I will first define any test method, and inside that I can check for all the specific values. Okay, and then I can even show it. Okay, so I will show you how it actually looks. Then another test method is here, you can see test, it starts with test name. Okay, and then file 1 method 2, and inside this, what is this, x plus 1 equal to y, test failed. Run the test using the command py.test. This is how you will run it. I will show you, don't worry. If you are getting confused, don't worry, I will show you everything. Okay. Yeah. So this is how, okay, before moving to the code, or before doing it in the PyCharm, let me just show you how actually the, what you can say, the output will look like. Okay. So what I have done, uh, if I, like when I will run this, okay, when I will run this Python file, I will see something like this, that is test sample1.py. This is my file name. Okay, let me explain this. This is my Python file name. So it is showing that this file name, then f, and then dot. What does this mean? And the color will be same. That is f will be in red color, and then this dot will be in green color. What does that mean? Okay. Now after that, you will see this failures. It means that the, like the part where there will be the failure of the condition, or you can say the assertion, you will see that. Okay, so here you can see what is happening. It is showing you where, like in which places the error is. Okay, so I will show you. And also this f and dot, what does that mean? Let me show you that here. Here in test sample 1.py, f dot, what does that mean? F says failure. Okay, and then dot says success. Okay, so if your code successfully runs, okay, it is having no error, then you will see only the this green dot. Okay, else you will see this red F also. Okay, so in this failure section you can see the failed method and the line of failure. Here x is equal to y means 5 equal to 6, which is false. So you can see in this in this part you can see where you are having the problem. And yeah, this E actually shows that there is an error. Okay, it is not equal. Okay, assertion error. Okay, so that's the basic way how it actually works. Let me show you by doing the code. Okay, so let me show you first how we can actually install this framework. So for that, first we need to go to file, and then we will see this new project setting, or yeah, yeah, setting for new project. And then yeah, you will see this project interpreter, and there you need to check whether it is installed or not. So if it is already installed, then you will see here pytest is already installed, that's why here it shows. Okay, and inside this python file you need to first confirm that in which python file you are, and there is it installed or not. Okay, so here you can see it is installed. Okay, so and if it is not installed, then you can go to this plus icon and you can just write py test. Okay, and after clicking this it will be installed. Okay, click this and install package, it will be installed. Okay, then you can directly go here and start writing your code. You can write import pytest and that framework will be installed. Then let me just show you how I have done it. Okay, so you can see import pytest. Okay, this will install the framework. Then what I have done, I've just written simple function. Okay, it's not any test function or it's not a test method, it's simple function. Okay, and return x plus 5. Then let me not tell you about this for now. Let me just remove this. Okay, now what I'm doing, I'm just I'm defining some test methods. Okay, so I will show you what I'm doing. I'm defining test method, and inside this I'm checking for assert. Like this assert key will do what? It will show you assertion error when this this function is not correct. Okay, or it is not satisfying, it is not true. Okay, so in that case what we will have? We will have assertion error. Okay, so let me show you how it actually work. First dot py. Okay, sorry, you need to actually run this, you need to write py dot test and then the file name. Okay, that is first dot py. Okay, so here you can see what is happening. It is actually showing what we wanted to check. So first, let me just show you this. Let me explain you first what is the code. Okay, inside this normal function, what I have done, I have I've taken this argument or this parameter, that is x, and then return x plus 5. Okay, this will return the value. Okay, now define test method. This test method will return, or you can say it will check if this function 1, okay, that is 3, this 3 value will be passed here. 3 plus 5, that is 8. Is it equal to 8? Then yes, it is. Actually we can see here, but this 3, when it is passed, 3 plus 5 is what? That is yeah, same thing, but I will show you how it will look when I will change the value. Let me show you, because here you can see both the conditions, both the test case are satisfied or it is correct. So what happens in that case? Okay, so yeah, let me just show you. After running this, test session starts. Okay, and here you can see it is showing you the root directory. Then yeah, collected two items, that is two test cases. Okay, first dot py and then these two dots. What does that mean? It actually show you that successfully run. Okay, the test cases has successfully passed. Okay, and this two passed in 0.9 second. It will show you how much time it has taken to actually run this code. Now let me show you if I change this value. Okay, if I write like this and then if I run this, then what will happen? Okay, let me show you that. So you can see what happens, one failed and one passed. The conclusion is this, or short test summary info. failed first.py test method 1, it will show you in which test you are having the error. Assert 13 equal to 8, that is this value is 13, and it is going to, like, it is checking for is it equal to 8 or not, and it is showing you the error. So here you can see one failed and one test case is passed. It will show you which test case also, which test case is passed. Okay, so here you can see it shows you the failures section where like it shows the code, in which code you are having the problem. Okay, assert 118 equal to 8, which is E, that means it is showing the problem. Okay, and this one passed is actually telling you about this. Okay, that is this one. Wait, test method. Okay, this one is correct, so it is showing you about that. And this you can see dot one dot and then failure. What does that mean? It means first we were having the first test case was passed, that's why it is green, and then second test case has failed, so that's why it is showing you F. Okay, so that's how you actually work with this framework. You can actually test, or you can, like, we can understand how much difficult it would be to check it manually, or in this terminal to import one by one all the input and then check it that whether it is correct or not. But now by the help of this PyTest, what I can do, I can directly create these test methods, and I can actually check it at the same time. I can check for this value of 3, then I can check it for 8. Even you can create more test methods and you can do that. There are also like test files also. I'm going to show you that too. So yeah, before moving to that, let me show you how this assertion or assert keyword works in this PyTest. Okay, so PyTest assertions are to check, or it checks that return either true or false. Okay, so what we were doing, we were writing the assert keyword, and then we were having some conditions, and those conditions were actually returning boolean type of value, that means true or false. Okay, status. Okay, in Python PyTest, if an assertion fails, that is false, okay, in a test method, then the method execution is stopped there. Okay, normally what we used to do, not in the case of test method, like test cases, what it was happening, if there was any assertion, then it is to stop. The remaining code in that test method is not executed, and PyTest assertion will continue with the next test method. Now in this case, that is in, like, normally what we used to do with the help of this assert keyword, what we were doing, we were having this keyword, and then we were having some like code. So in case of, when we were working with this assert keyword, there was this condition that as soon as there will be an assertion error, it will show you that error and it will stop. Okay, the same case is here in this test method. If we are working in some test method, and we have we are checking the assertion condition. Okay, we are checking whether that condition is correct or not, or it is true or not. If it is false, then inside that specific test method, no execution will be done and it will be stopped there. The terminal, or you can say the interpreter, will move to next test method. Are you getting that point? Like this, suppose I have test method 1. Okay, and inside this, what is happening, in the starting only I have this assert condition, and that is failed. Okay, it is failed. So what happens after that, if I write print assert or anything, that will not be printed. Why? Because the terminal, or you can say the interpreter, has stopped there. Okay, and it moved to the next test method. Okay, so that's how it actually work, or you can say this assertion keyword is used in PyTest. Okay, now let me show you this. Assert hello equal to hey, okay, is an assertion failure. Why? Because it is not equal, we know that. Then it is a successful assertion. You can see this. True is a successful assertion, and failure or false is an assertion failure. Okay, so you can see this case, in this case we have false condition, in this case we have true condition, so that's why it is showing us like that. Okay, now how the interpreter, okay, how it actually identify that the test file, or whatever we are working with, it is a test method. Okay, So it actually identify by the help of the name, okay, method name or file name, okay. So by default, PyTest only identifies the file name starting with test or ending with like ending with test, and then before that you can have any name. But if you do like this, then it will actually identify that yes, this part, or you can say this specific code is actually used to check, or it is a test case, okay. But we can actually explicitly mention other file name though. How we can do that, we will see, okay. So if you remember what we were doing when I was running this py dot test, and then I was writing first dot py, okay. So I was actually not naming it with starting with test or ending with test name, okay. What I was doing, I was manually defining it. So it was in the case of Python file, not in the case of methods, okay. So all what happens, Python requires the test method names to start with test, okay. All other method names will be ignored even if we explicitly ask to run those methods. But that's not, yeah. So what I was telling you, that we can actually explicitly try, or we can run the Python file, but that will not be case, that will not be same case in case of methods, okay. You need to have this format, that is, it should start with test or end with test, okay, name, so that it will understand that yes, this specific code is actually a test case or test file, okay. So you can see these are a basic format. This is Python file name. You can understand why, because .py is written. So this is valid. Okay, it will work. Login test, it will also work because starting with test and ending with test. Okay, so it is valid. Invalid is test login. What we are doing, it will be taken as one name, okay. It is not, there is no separator or there is no separation here, okay. So you should have something like underscore or something like that to actually tell the interpreter that this keyword is actually for test case, or you can say the test code, okay. It signifies that, okay. So I guess that is clear. Okay, so like what is the format to write a test method? So it's same like that, same way we were doing for Python file. So for that, what we need to do, we need to start with test or like yeah. So you can see test, and then what I'm doing, I'm writing the method name. It can be anything. But also one thing is there, if you start with test and there is no underscore in case of method, it can work. It is valid, okay. But if you don't write any like statement related, like if it is not there starting with test, then it will be invalid, okay. So I guess that is clear. You can go and check how it works, okay. I will show you that too, don't worry. Now, there is one very important point we can do by this PyTest framework. What we can do, we can actually run multiple files. Okay, we can run multiple files and multiple tests from a specific file or a multiple file. Okay, I will show you how we can do that. Like as soon as we like open the terminal, you can see that we are inside any folder. Okay, we know that we're inside any folder, but inside that folder we can have many Python files, okay. The same condition is that we can have many test files, okay. There's a difference. We can have many test files, and we can actually use those test files. We can actually check whether those test files are running or not, okay. That works same like a test case, okay. So we can do that. And what we can do by the help of this PyTest is that we can run it at the same time, okay. That is, multiple files can be like they can be executed, or they can run yeah, at the same time, okay. So what we can do that, so what we can do by this, we can actually use this, that is py.test, to actually run all the test files. We know that how this interpreter actually knows that whether that specific file is a test file or it is normal Python file. So we know that it's if it start with test or if it ends with test name, okay. So what happens in that case, that the interpreter will understand that yes, this is a test file and I need to uh, test it. Okay, if I run this line, okay, py.test, it will actually check, okay, it will run that Python file. But if there are any other file that is not named like that, or that doesn't start with this, then it will not identify it as a test file. Okay, it will ignore those file. Okay, so this will run all the file names starting with test and file name ending with test. But if you want to manually run, okay, if you still want to run that specific Python file which is not starting with test or ending with test name, then what you can do, you can manually define that is py.test and then suppose first dot py. Okay, so what it does, it will it will consider that Python file as a test file. Okay, and it will run it. Okay, to run a test only from a specific file. Okay, that means I want, like, inside a folder I want one specific file to run as a test file. So what I can do, I can specify the name. Okay, so that's how it works, and I guess it is clear to you all. Now coming to a specific Python file or test file, inside that we have many test methods. We know that we can have as many test methods as we want. Okay, but what if I want any specific method, or you can say any subset of entire test to run? Okay, I just want that specific method to run and I want to check the output for that. So in that case I can do it with the help of PyTest. How? So sometimes we don't want to run the entire test suite. PyTest allows us to run specific test. We can do it in two ways. So there are basically two ways. First is grouping of test names by substring matching. Okay, so I can actually use some substring, okay, of that test name, okay, or you can say test name of the method, and then I can tell the interpreter that if that substring is matched with that test method, so then only you have to run that. Okay, so I can do it by that. Otherwise I can use this marker concept. I will tell you, I won't explain you now, because first we should see about this grouping of test names by substring. Okay, first how we are doing that, so let me show you. We can do it by specifying the substring. Okay, now how we will do that? So first we know that we need to write this py.test to tell that yes, we are using this uh, framework, and after that this k keyword, that is minus k, and then method 1, and then minus v. What does this k represent? Okay, so this k will represent the substring to match. Now what will happen, this will show the interpreter, or this will tell the interpreter that you need to first check this substring, if this substring is there inside the test method or not. Okay, inside the test method, if this name is present or not. If that is present, then only you need to execute that. Also there can be cases that we have so many test method, like test, then method 1. Okay, method 1, and then I have test, then I have fun 1. Okay, but it will, what it will do, it will not run all the test method, but it will run those methods only which are having this substring. Okay, that is method 1. Okay, and b increases the verbosity. Okay, now what is happening, I guess that is clear here. That's the basic format how you can do, that is by the use of this k keyword. And yeah, I will show you how we can do that. But coming to the concept of marker, how we can use this markers concept. Okay, so this this marker concept, it is actually a decorator concept that we have not covered, but I will try to cover it if it is possible. Otherwise, like, you can go and check this topic. It is very easy and very important too. So you must know about this side concept. Okay, so this pytest.mark, it is actually a decorator, can be used to add metadata to test. So it is actually useful to note related test and to select groups of tests to be run. Okay, by the help of, or you can just simply understand that by the help of this, we can group, we can make a group of tests that needs to be run. Okay, that we need to execute. Okay, so like here I will show you how we are actually doing that. So like, yeah, Here we apply different marker name to test methods and run specific tests based on marker names. Okay, so this naming is very important because on the basis of that only what we are doing, we are grouping the tests. Okay, or test method. So yeah, we can define the marker on each test names by using this at symbol and then add pytest dot mark then dot name. Okay, whatever the name you want it to be. Okay, so import pytest. Okay, we need to import the package. Then what I'm doing, I'm adding the this marker. Okay, you can say this like it is actually a decorator. So add pytest dot mark dot set one. So what is this set one? Set one is the marker name. Okay, by the help of that only what we will do, we will group it. Okay, we will group this file. Okay, so yeah, test method, we have test file one method one, that is this is a test method in which we have assert keyword and we have some conditions to check. Then we have another pytest or marker, pytest marker, which the name is set2. Okay, and this is inside one python file. Okay, you can see this is inside one python file. I have another python file with the same, like you can see, same marker and then marker name, then set one. Okay, in the previous one I had set 2 as the marker name, and in this you can see this another python file, I have the same marker name. Okay, set 1 and set 1. Okay, so I'll show you how it actually helps us to, like, when we are inside any folder, and by the help of just using this marker name we can actually run methods of different files. Okay, of different files with this name. Okay, so we can run the marked test by using py.test. We know that py.test is used to actually tell that we are using this framework, that is pytest framework. Then m minus m, which mentions the marker name, which will tell the interpreter that after this I'm going to write the marker name. Okay, and dash k was used for it was used for substring. Okay, if you remember. Then the after that we have marker name. Okay, by the help of this the interpreter will understand that yes, I need to search for this marker name to execute or to test. Okay, so minus m and then or you can say dash m and then name mentions the marker name. Okay, so yeah, I guess by this theory part is clear. Let's just code and understand this concept. Like, let's understand how it actually work. Okay, so let me show you how we can use this marker concept to actually group it. Okay, and without using marker also, how we can like how we can run our Python files. Okay, now like before moving to this marker concept, I want to show you that how we can run multiple files. Okay, now inside this first folder, I have this game.py file, pattern.py file, testfile.py, and then testfirst.py. Now, if you remember what I have told you, that to understand or to like to make it clear that this Python file is a test file, what we do, we name it, we start the naming by test. Okay, or ended by test name. Okay, so how we can do that, let me just show you by just writing py dot test. Okay, what happens, okay, I'm inside this first folder, the folder name is first, and I'm just using this py dot test. Okay, so what happens, let me show you. So what happens here, yeah, yeah, yep. So what is happening, so collected 4 items, because what we are doing, we are actually having only 2 files that are starting with test name. Okay, so test file.py, we are going to work with this file, and then test first.py. So by this only you can understand that this has run, this is 50% and this is 100% error. Okay, now what does that mean, I will show you. So like this green symbol says, green dot says that yes, we have such like the test code, or you can say the test methods inside this test file has been executed and it is correct. Okay, there is no error. So showing the failure part, so inside this, here you can see it is showing you where there is the error part. You can go and see, this is for you to actually understand where is the problem. and you can see 1 failed, 3 passed, and 4 warnings. Okay, you can ignore this warning. This is the time taken to execute. So we have, so you can understand that inside this Python file we were having two methods, two test methods, and inside this test first also we were having two test methods. Okay, so that's why what happened in summary you can understand: one failed, that is one test method was failed, and three was passed. Okay, so this is how it is to run all the test files, multiple test files in once. We can do that. Okay, you can do it by just writing this py.test. Okay, it will run it. But what if I want to run any specific Python file? Okay, so for that I need to specify the name. Okay, it can start with test or it can end with test, but it can also be like suppose I want to run game.py. Okay, so I want to run it like a test code. Okay, so for that I need to specify the name. Okay, in case of Python file it can work, but not in case of methods. Like suppose I'm inside this test first.py. So if I write py.test and I want to execute, or you can say I want to I want to execute this method. Okay, so for that what I need to do, like what we can do here. So like suppose I have py.test. Okay, and I have this method. Okay, so what we were having, k, that was used for the substring. Okay, and then I have suppose fun1. Okay, so and then b. Okay, let me show you. Yeah, so what is happening here, these like although we are having this fun1. Okay, although we are having this fun1 as a function which is having its name, but it will not consider that. Why? Because it is not having test as its it is not starting with test. Okay, or ending with test, so it will not consider it as a test code. Okay, so that's the problem. You can also select it. You can do the same thing, like if I want to do for method suppose. Okay, so I can write method, so it will work for that. You can see what is happening. We have one failed, three passed. That is, it will find out all the methods that are starting with or that are having this substring method. Okay, in it, method name, it will check all those. Okay, so I guess that is clear. Now coming to the concept of marker, I will show you that how we can run any method by grouping it with the help of marker. Now I'm inside this first folder. What I will do, I will just write py.test and then I have this marker name m. Okay, I need to write the marker name, that is suppose set2. Okay, what is the marker name? Here you can see it is set2. I'm inside test first.py, and inside this test file.py I have set1 and set2. Okay, in both of them I am having another names. Okay, I can have another name also. It is just my choice that I've kept it as set1 or set2. Okay, you can have this as set2 also. It's just like a naming, you can understand. Okay, and here also set2. Okay, so like let me just show you how it will execute. Okay, so here you can see three selected, one deselected. That is one we haven't selected. We have only three markers, or you can see three marker name are set2. Okay, we are having three methods that are having the marker name as set2. So that's why those were selected and they are actually passed. Okay, that is they are running. Okay, they are having no problem. Okay, now if I write here as set1. Okay, and if I write the same thing but I name the marker name as set1. So you can see one failed and one passed. Which one has failed? Let me show you this one. Set1. 118. That is, here 8 has been passed. 8 plus 5 is not equal to 8. It cannot be equal to 8. That's why that case is failed. So are you getting this point? How you can actually use this concept to like just inside the folder you can run multiple files. You can run multiple test files. You can see how much time it takes. You can have the summary of like which test file has failed, where is the problem. So it makes it easy to automate the test cases or to execute the text test cases. Like to do it manually, it becomes very difficult. Okay, sometimes it shows you where the error is, but how can you understand that? Okay, how can you, like, how will you understand that? So for that, what we can do, we can have some test cases, like you have also worked in CodeChef, or like on any online ID. There they show you that yes, it takes this much time, and sometimes there is test cases, so it needs to satisfy those test cases to actually become like it, to satisfy the code, or that to prove that your code is correct, you need to satisfy those test cases. Okay, so here, that's why this pi unit concept is used, and it actually helps us to understand. So what are the things that we have covered? So first we have seen why we need to work, or why we need this pi unit framework. What is a framework? We have also seen that, and it is actually very important. You can work with many frameworks. There are so many web frameworks that can actually help you to design website. Okay, and by the help of framework, half of the work is done. So here you can see in pi unit also what we have done. There are so many things that we can use. We can run multiple files. Okay, we can have method, we can work group methods. Okay, and yeah, we have the idea of API. I have also explained, I have tried to explain this API concept so that you can be familiar with this term. Okay, API. And then also I have explained you that how we can or how the interpreter is actually understanding which file is a test file. Okay, which method is a test method. Okay, or how we can write the test method. Okay, how we can import PyTest. Okay, so we have seen all those things, and I guess that is clear. Also, I have shown you by doing the practical, I have shown you how we can use the concept of marker to group the methods. Okay, then how we can actually execute multiple Python files. Okay, so yeah, I guess this video was helpful for you all. Do give your reviews. Thank you.